I don't
The
know if it's
waves. Let's check.
gonna,
Oh wow, you can see the waves from your house.
epic.
Flippin' hell, but yes.
the waves are actually really good.
Oh, yeah, sorry, man. I was reading on one of your posts. I think it was when you were writing about the Skeleton Coast, and you said something about like waves that are not ridden. You called them something. You had a word for them, like I forget what it was, but I was like, I didn't know surfers thought about that. Like every wave that there's got nobody on it is like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, sure, your guys.
Cool stuff. Well, good morning there, Frank Solomon from Cape Town. Thanks for joining us today on the Ridiculously Human podcast, bud.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, cool, my man.
Likewise.
It's just such amazing how things work these days. But literally, I think 2 weeks ago, someone shared something on WhatsApp, which was this amazing video that you'd put together called Street Surfers. And then I saw it on Facebook as well, or I put it on Facebook, and I was like, yes, if anyone knows this guy, please can you put us in touch? Because we'd love to speak to him and have him on the podcast. And then true enough, like, you know, someone, as South Africans are super connected, and someone was like, no, I know Frank, like my girlfriend helped him a while back, you know, with some Red Bull stuff, and that was it. But and then, you know, we got put in touch, and 2 weeks later we're basically on a podcast. So how cool is that?
Yeah, I know technology is also pretty incredible.
Yes,
Totally.
it's amazing, man. So Frank Frog Knuckles Solomon, right? A man of German heritage, but you're born in Hart Bay, South Africa. You're a water baby, bud. Basically, since you can remember. So maybe you can just kind of take us back to those early years. What was it like for you growing up, you know, in Cape Town, close to the sea?
Yeah, sure. I had a dream childhood there. I grew up in Hart Bay. My dad is a long-time surfer. He had one of the first surf shops in Cape Town. Also like a lifelong lifeguard and stuff. And I think when I was about 5 years old, I kind of started lifesaving because of my dad. And that was kind of my first love of the ocean was like from that age, like going down to the beach every Sunday. We had training and kind of just learning about the ocean. That was kind of my first like entry into the water and like my life living around the water. And yeah, growing up here in Hart Bay, like London's right there, surrounded by the ocean, surrounded by the mountains. So yeah, I mean, I was just blessed from the beginning. Like my parents are still together. I would just have like an amazing family. So I guess just from the word go, I was very lucky to be born into this life.
That's so cool.
It sounds epic, man. It's so beautiful there as well. I mean, people that aren't from there or know it, it's just like, go and Google that because it's that beautiful. And nippers, so you were a nipper. I mean, that must have been lots of fun, like in the mornings and running down icy cold in Cape Town. Yes.
Yeah. So I just remember like, I mean, I don't really remember. I don't have the best memory, but so I remember trying to remember when I was 5 years old. It doesn't really, but I do remember like just those early Sunday mornings running around the beach. My dad was the trainer. And the water in London is freezing cold, like it gets down to like 9 degrees Celsius. And we weren't allowed to wear wetsuits. And I just remember my dad yelling at me to like, I was like almost in tears because I don't want to get out there. Cowboys don't cry or something like that. And yeah, it was just an incredible childhood. Like just remember the smells and those Sunday mornings down on the beach. Yeah, I recommend that all kids who grow up on the coast around here, or all parents would send their kids to nippers just to have a basic understanding of the ocean. Even if they don't carry on with it, at least they know the basic.
Yeah. That's great. That's
so
great.
True.
Yeah, that's so true. But and just like, you know, getting that connection with nature when you're a youngster, like, you know, and just kind of realizing, you know, what's, I guess, important in our kind of role in the whole ecosystem, you know, is good to kind of have that from a youngster. I actually remember I used to go on holiday in Hart Bay quite a bit. And there was one time we went to the beach and literally you couldn't walk on the beach because the whole thing was full of blue bottles. Like It was ridiculous. Yes. Like, I mean, if people don't know what blue bottles are, they're like these little, they're not jellyfish, but they're kind of like, they're part of that family. And they've got like these long blue tails that sting you ridiculously. And,
yeah, they're so sore.
Yeah, yes, man. I literally the whole beach was packed in it. So, I mean, I don't know if that happens much, but yeah,
it doesn't happen that often in Hart Bay, but it does actually it has happened in it does happen in False Bay. Quite a lot of like Muizenberg and Fishhook. And I remember that they were like, when I was a lighty, they were gathering all in these huge piles to like then take off, you know, to get off the beach. And I can't remember, it was either me or my sister, but I think it was me, and I like fell into this pile. I was like messing around. I fell into this pile of blue bottles.
Yes.
It was horrible.
Yes, that's yeah. And then you have like, yes, that would just be painful. And then you like, I don't know if they have like, is it the aloe plants like that you?
Yeah. Or you're supposed to pee on yourself, which is.
Classic.
So Frank, I mean, you also started surfing at the Billabong Junior competitions, and you pretty quickly realized that you were highly competitive.
Yeah, I'm very competitive, but I also realized then, well, I didn't realize it then, but looking back, like I was never the best competitive small wave surfer. I used to get quite bummed when I saw all the guys with their Billabong stickers, Quicksilver stickers, and but I didn't really have any sponsors. And I mean, you're so focused at the time, it's sometimes hard to have perspective when you're like 13 or 14 and be like, okay, actually, I'm not as good as the other guys when it comes to small waves. But I really enjoyed doing those competitions, and I never really did that well. Yeah, I'm not like a small wave kind of ripper or anything. But it was a great experience, and yeah, the competitive side doesn't go away.
I remember because I lived in PE, like the Billabong Pro, and that was around the corner. And it was always just like the most fun ever, like as a youngster, just watching these guys that were like amazing surfers from around the world at Super Tubes. And like just the vibe was such a good like community vibe as well, you know, amongst the surfers.
Yeah, I was just there actually. We premiered Street Surfers there at the JB Open. So yeah, it was really cool. But that Billabong Junior Series was amazing. We don't really have anything like that anymore. It was kind of a series of comps in Durban, J-Bay, Cape Town, Vic Bay, and it was kind of to like, you know, hone the talent of the younger kids as they're coming up to try and, you know, learn that kind of surfing competitive skill. But I mean, the industry since then doesn't have that much money and stuff, so. There are smaller comps now, but that whole series definitely developed a whole lot of some of South Africa's best surfers.
Wow. So do you think like that's kind of like, has that sort of stopped the interest in youngsters from surfing, do you think, at all, or not really?
I don't think it stopped the interest, but it's I just remember there being a comp like almost every weekend, and I think, you know, if you're surfing comps, the best like practice is to surf comps. So, you know, if you're surfing those series from when you're 10 years old to under 18 and there's one every week, there's so many competitions, and you just get better at surfing heats, and you learn about heats and how to win and all that kind of stuff, and being in a competition environment. Yeah, we still have a lot of events, but it's just, I don't know, at that time there was just that was like a really big deal, those junior series events.
Yeah, yes. I remember always like, I mean, I'm a Joburg boy, so, you know, we were always like, yes, there's those surfer oaks, they're so cool. You know, us having no clue about it, always wanting to be a surfer, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's an incredible lifestyle. I mean, you're in the ocean, you're in an environment, you know, you're in nature, and it's beautiful. But I think when you're that age, you don't really have that. You're not like, you know, when you're 13 or 14, you're not like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. Like, I'm having the best time. You're like, oh my gosh, like I want to be better than that guy. I want to surf. I want to get stickers on my board. I want look at those girls over there. You know, like, you're not. I think as you get older, you learn to appreciate those kind of things.
Yeah,
sure.
totally. But yeah, so maybe you kind of just touched on it there. Like maybe you can tell us about, there's kind of a magic about the ocean, and connecting with it is awesome in general. Like what's it like for you now these days, when you kind of out there and stuff?
Yeah, it's hard to pin down. There's people have tried to write books on like the attraction that surfing has. My dad still surfs. He's 75 years old. Like I don't know what sport you could do from 5 to 75. There's not many though. Maybe golf or something. But yeah, it's more of like a lifestyle than a sport. And I think the ocean must have some kind of I don't want to sound like a hippie or anything, but like
must sound like energy or something. You
like
know what I mean?
Energy or something that keeps bringing people back, and like is that like obviously gives the person something as well, that makes them want to come back into the environment and be like, oh, I need to go surf. I need to get back into the water.
Yeah, but man.
I think it's about being in nature, and it's about, like in modern day life, you're just on your phone, you're on the computer, you're always connected. And like when you're surfing, you're in the water, there's no way anyone can phone you, or like even if you're on a hike, you have your phone or whatever. But when you're in the ocean, there's literally, you can't have any electronic devices. So it's like you're off the grid for those couple hours. And I think that also has a big part of it, that you're not connected to the web.
Yes, man. I totally agree with you, but like actually Craig and I were talking about this at the start. It's almost like you just have these few hours to yourself. Like, fair enough, you're sometimes there with, your surf buddies, but a lot of the time you're also just there by yourself, and you just have time to think and not be distracted and connected. And there is this energy, but definitely about the sea, I feel. And also just the sound of it, I think, is quite therapeutic a lot of the time, like just that wave crashing. So, powerful stuff, but
yeah, it's like a meditation, you sit, a lot of people are into meditation right now. And I mean, obviously it's an ancient practice, but you're basically sitting quietly and breathing. And that's pretty much what you're doing when you're surfing. There's no one around. You're just sitting on your board, kind of in nature. There's no phone. There's no one to talk to. So yeah, it's a form of meditation. And I think that's also a big thing that draws people back. You just go out and meditate for a couple hours.
Talking about the sound, Gareth, like I remember when I used to get into the ocean more often, there's that moment, I'm sure, Frank, you've obviously experienced this 1,001 times, but for me, the most special thing was that moment when you're out in the water, the surf's decent, and then the wind sort of drops and rain, it like starts to rain really hard, but there's like when there's no wind and it's kind of silent, like it's weird because you can't really, it's noisy from the rain, but everyone goes silent and have this sort of moment where everyone is just in the same zone. Like you don't talk, but everyone's kind of there. And I don't know, there's something pretty well connected.
That is a beautiful, that when that happens, when you're raining and it's surfing, it's very special. It's beautiful.
Yes, that's a good feeling. Eh?
Yeah. And I mean, it's just something that people don't like, I don't know. Most people don't experience it,
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, I'm moving to Portugal actually in a few months' time, and I've never surfed in my life, but that's one of the things and one of the reasons why I want to go as well. Like I want to start surfing, because I'll be like 5-10 minutes from the beach, and I literally cannot wait for that. But it's going to be so cool.
Yeah, it's hard to surf when you're older, but
yeah, but yes,
but just going in the water, sometimes, I mean, it's often I don't surf, but I just go and jump in the water and just feel better immediately. So I don't know what it is. Maybe, it'd be interesting to know the actual science behind why people that be in a bad mood, they jump in the water, go for a swim, and they feel better. It must have something to do with something. I don't know what it is yet. I haven't figured it out.
So Frank, talking about like the other end of the spectrum, you attended university and you realized that the 9 to 5 certainly wasn't for you. So did you sort of drop out completely, and what was plan B at the time?
I didn't drop out. I finished university.
Oh, cool.
Did you?
Yeah, I finished. I studied quantity surveying and I finished, and I actually had to work. I worked for a year And I mean, there wasn't a time. I never thought like. I never thought. First of all, I never thought I was going to be a professional surfer.
Okay.
I was never good enough to be. That was out of the question, you know. When I finished matric, I kind of I went overseas for like a gap year. Worked in Ireland for like 6 months, then backpacked around Europe like everyone does in South Africa. I know people still do that, but at that time that was definitely the thing to do. I came back, didn't know what I wanted to study. I had to do my maths mark. Science mark wasn't good enough, so I had to like do an extra year to get the mark back. And I just thought like quantity surveying is like a practical job that people would always need. You know, it wasn't like a BA that covers everything. We don't have a specific job. And yeah, that was it. I was just gonna live and like do the normal thing, and kind of slowly got more and more interested in surfing bigger and bigger waves, and that kind of sparked my interest, kind of. And then when I finished university, sure, this is a long story, eh?
Now go, bud. No, bud. Carry on talking about it. This is long form. We got to your time, man. It's important.
So yeah, they had the Red Bull Big Wave Africa, which was one of the best big wave events, or like the longest running big wave events in the world, at Dungeons, which I could like almost literally see from my house growing up. And it just so happened, well, obviously I'd been interested in surfing and surfing bigger waves, but the whole like event house was right next door to my house, and I used to be like, oh, like all these guys I see in the magazines are like literally right next door to my house. Like that's so sick. And they had jet skis and boats, and it was like sponsored by Red Bull, and it was like this huge deal when you like 20 years old, you know. It looked so cool. And I really wanted to go surf out there. And then this was after I'd done my year overseas or whatever. And then when I was at varsity, and then I remember like I wanted to go out, and I asked all the guys like, hey, like I want to come out there. I want to come surf with you guys out there. And they're like, nah, you can't come out. It's too dangerous, kind of. Which at the time is totally understandable. Some random dude like neighbor who no one's ever heard of wants to come surf waves that are extremely dangerous, you know? And but I don't know. I was like, what do you mean I can't go out there? I live here. What do you mean I can't go out there? Like I took it, you know, like I was extremely cocky last year. I got into all kinds of trouble, but I said to my dad, I was like, what do you think I should do? And he's like, just paddle out. Like, don't be a pussy. Just go out there. So then I like walked over the mountain, and then you walk down the hill through the township, and you paddle like through this place called Shark Alley, like between Seal Island and the.
Yes.
And
wow.
I just paddle out by myself, and then all the oaks are like, what are you doing out here? Like, it's so dangerous. You could have get attacked by a shark. And I was like, well, I asked you guys, and you said I couldn't come out, and here I am. And then they were like, okay, well, next time you just ask us, and I will know you, whatever, you proved your point, kind of thing. Like, we'll take you out. And then I ended up actually walking back over the mountain because I didn't have a way in. And Grant Washburn, he was one of the guys from Riding Giants, I think it's that old movie, and Gary Linden, who was a contest organizer. And I was walking back over the hill with no booties, and they're like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, where do you come from? And I'm like, I wanted to go surf. They're from California, from Maverick.
Huh.
And yeah, that's how I kind of met the crew. And yeah, from there, Grant Washburn actually was like, hey, you should come to Cat and surf Mavericks. And yeah, that's kind of how the whole thing started.
Yes,
did you surf that day though? Did you catch a few waves and stuff?
No, I got smoked. I was totally unprepared. Like, I didn't have the right equipment.
Yeah.
I think I maybe got one wave and got like just annihilated, and could immediately see why the guys didn't want me to just paddle out. You can't just have anyone going out there.
Yeah. And when you say right equipment, what do you mean? Like, it's a different type of board, or you have to have some?
I had like an 8.6, I think, which is the length of the board is probably not nearly big enough. And yeah, I mean, there isn't too much of a learning curve because there aren't many other ways like that, so you can't really prepare. But in Cape Town, we're lucky. You can surf Crayfish Factory, you can surf Outercombe, Sunset. We have these like stepping stones to get out to dungeons, kind of, where you can learn about, how it all works. And after that, after a couple of years, I ended up on the last year that they had their contest. They ended up inviting me into the event. So that was really cool. That was insane.
That's amazing.
That's amazing, man.
But I can't honestly, like, I can't imagine, right? First of all, because that's Seal Island, but for tourists, they take people out there on like this kind of like little tugboat sort of thing, or they used to back in the day. And the seawater's hectic there. I can't imagine you like going out there on your surfboard, surfing, paddling between there to get to the waves. It's like, that's dangerous in itself.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that dangerous, but it seems dangerous. But I mean, I didn't have any other way to get out there. So that was it's like, if you really want to go out there, then you paddle out.
Yeah.
So why was it called Shark Alley?
I don't know. I don't think that, because in the other one in False Bay where the sharks breach, there's like an area between the island there. They also have a seal island and where the sharks like attract the seals. But I don't know if we don't see that many whites out there. But there's a lot of seals, so I'm sure that they're there. It'd be stupid to think they're not there.
Yeah, totally. Have you ever seen a great white while you're out surfing?
Not out there, no, but I have seen them before. Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, what does that do for the adrenaline?
Yeah, it's like a primal fear.
Yeah, yes, I can imagine.
I mean, that thing doesn't care about you or your family.
Yeah.
Just the animal. It's a apex predator, top of the food chain.
Tell me about it. Yeah,
we actually in their world.
We actually had a guy on our podcast. I'm not sure if you know him or not. Shannon Worrell. He's also a big wave surfer in Australia, and he won a competition, the Billabong Big Wave something a few years ago. And
Tube of the Year, I think it was.
Tube of the Year. So yeah, and he's invented this like shark. What's the word? Yeah. It's called deterrent. Exactly. Yeah, it's called shark eyes. And basically, they put shark eyes, like literally just a sticker on the bottom of your surfboard. And they reckon it's like pretty much one of the most natural and best deterrents for sharks, which is quite incredible.
Yeah, there's all kinds of theories there. There's things for your leash. There's like some guys put the bottom of their boards like the same design as like an orca, because great whites are terrified of orcas. So yeah, there's lots of things you can do, but
yeah, exactly, man.
I'm not gonna I'm sure those things all help, but takes one shark to bite you with your sticker and your orca spray, and then the whole theory goes out the window. I don't know.
So the sharks, do they like register for you, or not really? Do you not really think about it much? In other words,
you can't really think about it living here because there's sharks everywhere. You wouldn't get in the water, and it's the first thing when I'm traveling. I'm like, I live in South Africa. Oh my gosh, there's sharks, and it's like, yeah, there's sharks in the ocean. I mean, wow, isn't that crazy? There's sharks in the ocean. That's where they live. That's their home.
Hundreds.
Yeah,
you can't let it get to you not living here, because you'll never surf.
Yeah, that's for sure. But what was the transition like? Like, I guess going from finishing your degree to working as a QS, and then going to the sort of big wave stuff. Were you sort of working, like, were you doing life-saving still and getting paid for it, or did you find a sponsor at all for your surfing?
No, I had all kinds of jobs. I worked as a pro lifeguard for many years. I worked in production. There's a lot of production work in Cape Town, seasonal work. My friend had an adventure company, and we did like kayak tours and delivered vegetables. I did every kind of job, anything. I did like, I don't know, like any kind of person at 20, or I guess there are some exceptions, but I don't know what I want. How are you supposed to know what you want to do when you're 19 or when you finish matric? I mean, I don't know. I could talk about the schooling system, but I think I never thought they like give you these options. You have to do this study this for the rest of, and then you're going to do something for the rest of your life, where I didn't know what I wanted to do. So yeah, I just did odd jobs, did whatever I could. And I didn't, like I said earlier, I didn't have any kind of plan. I had no kind of, I wasn't thinking 2-3 years ahead. I was thinking like, okay, I'm going to go surf. I'm going to work. I want to surf big waves. I thought maybe when I finished my degree, I'd take like a year off after I'd finished studying and just go to California, because Grant invited me, and kind of see how that panned out. But and then I was going to come back and get a job.
Cool, it's crazy though. Like, it's so true. How can you almost expect someone to know what they want to do for the rest of their lives at that age? And that's what most people do. They come out, they say, okay, I got to study something, and they just choose something that kind of seems right. But it's a real, I mean, almost impossible task.
Impossible. And like us, you know, a lot of the I still do Lifesaver, I still compete. Still probably the most competitive guy, but all the guys I do Lifesaver with are 20, 21, that I train with, 22, and they're all like freaking out about jobs and like studying. I'm like, I mean, it's hard to say at the time because the culture puts a lot of pressure on you, but I mean, don't worry about it. Like, you've got your whole life to figure it out. Like, go and travel, go and have fun. Like, you can work your whole life. You have to decide when you're 20 years old. I don't know. To me, and I'm sure a lot of parents are thinking I'm crazy, but I don't think that going straight into that is necessarily a good idea.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the crazy part.
Exactly. I totally agree with you, bud. Like, because yeah, man, you just got your whole life to do these things, and it's kind of like it's become this big system now. You know what I mean? It's like this machine. It's like this money making kind of machine as well. It's like you will go to school, and then you will go and like study, and you know, just generate this massive amount of debts, and then you end up doing something you don't even like. You know, so.
But I think in school, they start that with you from the day one. They're like, you're going to do this. And then it's like, okay, what are you going to do after? What are you going to do after? Like, what are you going to study? And then you're going to get a job. And it's like, they don't educate you if you wanted to do something else. Like, what if you wanted to be a ballerina or something? Or I don't know. Like, they don't teach you that at school. Like, they don't show you the path for that kind of existence, or to be a surfer or whatever. You know, it's just like a search. If you don't fit into the like doctor, lawyer, accountant, secretary role, then you like then you're a loser. The kid's got no hope, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah,
like even from a real young age, like everyone's asking you, so what do you want to be when you grow up?
It's like the first thing they ask you at school.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I want to be a fireman. I want to be the president. Like, everyone has all these things, and like, I don't know.
Like one thing
that you're going to do the rest of your life. And like, why not? People always ask me, I'm like, well, I could, now that I've been doing this for a while, I could start working at 50 and do something for 10 years, for a decade. I could work, being an accountant until I'm 60. And then I could change and be a lawyer until I'm 70. Like, you don't have to, I don't think you have to put yourself into a box like that. You're going to do one thing your whole life. Like, that sounds so boring.
Bud. Totally.
Exactly. And it is boring, but at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't know. I think, it does just get boring after a while because you get too used to it. And we have to, like, you know, be trying to reinvent ourselves, you know, just to get excited about life.
Yeah. I mean, imagine every 10 years, you just completely do something else. Just like completely change what you're doing. Like, that's kind of cool. And, people are like, oh, we can't all be pro surfers, and a lot of my friends say that, and I totally get it. Not everyone can be a pro surfer, but you don't have to still just be an accountant. There's so many other things you can do. You know, like, I'm not saying that everyone can do like be an athlete or whatever, but with social media, with the internet, like, you can literally do anything. You can like sell stuff online. You could, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a million things you could do.
Yeah.
100%. I think what you said, like 10 years is a lot. You can perfect almost anything, like let's say almost anything in 10 years. Like, and that's not that long. Like you say, we're living longer and longer these days. So when you see these older people at like 65 or 70 going, you know, well, that's it, you know, kind of thing, kind of, you know, body language and all that. It's ridiculous because you've still got a long time to go. So like you might as well you can have a whole new beginning at like 60, 70, 50, you know. And I think that's exciting.
You could do something from 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70, 70 to 80. You could have 6 different careers if you really wanted to. Yeah. And it's over a decade.
Yeah.
And
like, what is that?
I think that's pretty cool. You know, you don't have to look at your life in like a certain way because society tells you that you have to. And there's so many opportunities out there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Life is an adventure. And talking about adventures, it sounds like in 2011, your ventures really started to take off a little bit, and you set off from South Africa on an epic 7-month backpacking trip.
When I went sailing?
I think when you went sailing, that was it that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we skipped a bit there, but so after I met Grant Washburn and those guys, it was kind of like when the economy was booming, right before the economy crashed. When did the economy crash?
2008.
2008. So like, I think it crashed, say, in June. No, or like in December. I can't remember when it was.
Yeah, around October time.
October, that's it. So like, Grant, that year, that was also, I think, the last year they had the Red Bull. I can't remember. Yeah, possibly. The last year they had the Big Wave event, and they were like, hey, come over. We're going to Mavericks, Surf Mavericks, which is maybe the premier big wave in the world, in San Francisco. And they were like, come and we're going to have a house with all the top young big wave surfers from around the world. And we're going to have everyone in a house. And like, it's be like an MTV, like when reality TV was at its peak, you know?
Yeah.
We're all going to live in a house and like do all these like things, and then each week someone would get voted out, and then the winner would be in the Mavericks event, which is a huge deal. And and they wanted me to be the guy from South Africa, so I was like, whoa, it sounds insane! Like, what an opportunity! I'm there, and the website was up, everything house organized, and then I think like literally as I took off, like the economy crashed. I think. Like, when I got to America, like there was all that money had dried up. No, it wasn't that quick, obviously, but it seemed like the whole economy had dried up. Like it really hit America hard because that was when the whole property crisis hit. And I got to the airport. I'd never been there. I'd never Googled it. I didn't know what was going on. And I sat around there for like 5 or 6 hours. No one came to pick me up.
No way.
And I was like, I phoned my mom, I was like, well, should I just come home? Like, the guys aren't answering. There's no one here. Like, what do I do? And tried to phone the guy. Didn't answer. I tried to phone Grant. He's the only person I knew. And I'd only just briefly met him. And he said, come over. You know, it wasn't like we had like a thing. And then I waited there for like, I think 6 or 7 hours, and he never came.
Wow.
And then I was like, okay, well, I wasn't able to go straight back home. So I said to the taxi driver, like, take me to Mavericks or whatever. I want to go surf Mavericks. And he's like, oh yeah, sure. That's like $200. $200. I don't even have $200.
No way.
Far away from the airport, you know? And then I remember I was like, okay, well, I'm going to catch like a train into town. They have like, it's called the Muni. It's like a public transportation system. And my car didn't work. And I'm like, I had these huge surfboards, massive bag of surfboards. I had to ask someone for money. And then I found this youth hostel in this really dodgy area of San Francisco, like in the city, and ended up spending the night there with like 4 other guys in a room that were like all getting drunk, and they were asking, hey, like, you want to drink some wine with us? I'm like, oh my word. Where am I? Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I don't know anything. And then eventually Grant came the next morning and he was like, hey, Frank, what's up, bro? I'm like, dude, like, what is going on? Like, where were you? Like, no, the waves were good. Sorry, I didn't come back you up. The next day, I was like,
typical
okay,
surfer.
I guess that's fine. Like, I was going to be fine. Like, we were supposed to go, you know? And then I was like, okay, well, I know this guy. So I'm obviously staying with him. And he's like, oh, yeah, actually, you're going to stay with my friend because I don't have any space. And I was like, okay.
Yes.
I don't know this guy. And he's like, I just remember I walked into the room and I don't really smoke weed, but there was like 4 guys in this room and they were smoking this huge bong. And they're like, oh, you want to hit? And I was like, no, I'm fine. And I was like, he's like, yeah, you staying in the back room. I was like, oh my word, this is going to be interesting. And yeah, this guy, Jeff Harris, was staying there. And he ended up, he's actually a really good friend of mine now. And, but yeah, then I had no money. I mean, I had nothing. I didn't come with anything. I thought I was going to stay in this house. I thought this whole TV show was going to happen. So I was like, I need to work. And the next day they're like, no, there's no work. The economy is tanked. No, I don't have, like, the guy's like, we don't have jobs. And I was like, well, I have to find a job. Otherwise I'm not going to eat. And then down the road, there was a pizza place. And that day I got a job at like bussing tables at the pizza place. And yeah, that was the start of the journey. I ended up staying there for 3 months with Jeff, and he's one of my best friends now. So yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Oh, a crazy story.
Wow. And, looking back at that, I don't know what, like I don't know what I was thinking, but I guess I didn't have anything to lose and I didn't have any plans. So I was just going to spend 3 months there, and I knew I could always come home if I had to. Worst case scenario, I go home, and I had a cool trip.
Yes, man.
You took the chance and you went, bud.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know if I'd do that again.
Yeah, but isn't it like interesting? Like as a youngster, there's kind of like there's no fear in a way. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, flip. It is what it is. I'll just go down the road and I'll try find a job at the pizza place, and you do it, but you make plans. You don't
overthink it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting, like how we get older. I don't know. We sort of seem to. I don't know, we just become more fearful of actually doing things, and like, oh, you can't do that. That's like irresponsible or something like that. And it is kind of weird because you all, I think, in a way seem to do it.
Yeah. It taught me one of the most valuable lessons ever, because that was worst case scenario. I didn't have any money. I had nothing.
Yeah.
And what was the worst case scenario was that I worked at a pizza place. Like, I think people are so scared of something that they're going to fail. And like, what's the worst case scenario? That you fail and it doesn't work out. You're not going to starve. Most of the people listening to this are not going to starve. They're not going to die. Like, the worst case isn't what I think everyone worries that it is. It's just, it didn't work out. I don't know. So it was a valuable lesson that I've taken with me everywhere.
Oh man, I think it's a great exercise that anyone can do. Like really spend a bit of time thinking about, literally, if I did this X, Y, Z, whatever it is, what is literally the worst thing that could ever happen? And most of the time, as you say, 9 times out of 10, it's like not the end of the world. You just move in with, worst case stories, you move in with mom and dad or something like that, again. Or,
exactly. I don't know if are you allowed to talk about other podcasts on your podcast?
Yeah, of course, buddy. Yeah, man.
What Tim Ferriss is, I think it's, he talks about one of the great philosophers. I can't remember what his name is. Seneca. What is their philosophy again?
Or the Stoics, you mean, the Stoics.
The Stoics. So it's like, what is it that you so greatly fear? Like, it's like and he, once a quarter or something, only eats beans, like doesn't wash, and like, that's the same thing. It's like, what do you so fear? Like, what are you so afraid of that's going to happen to you? It's like that you have to eat beans every day and not wash. Like, I don't know. I think that's a great, it's a great like test for people to do, maybe.
Yeah. He was in the thick of that in that podcast. Hey, he was like halfway through that whole thing, not washing his clothes and eating beans, and
that was it. That's all he ate. And he was like, what am I so afraid of in my life? Like, this is the worst case scenario and it's not that bad. I think that's the thing.
Super powerful, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. So, but tell us about this trip. I don't know if it was your, like, tell us about the 2011 one. Your boating. It just sounded epic, man.
So that was after that whole experience in San Francisco. I worked at the pizza place. I ended up coming home with like $1,000 that I'd saved from working at the pizza place.
Wow.
And you know, I wanted to try and every year go back to Mavericks during our winters, kind of, you know, May, June, July, August, and then their winters like October, November, December, January. So Southern Hemisphere. So winter here, winter there, and that was kind of like a basic plan. And that year, I really wanted to go. I had a kind of a sponsor at the time, and they promised me that they'd pay for my flight once I got to Thailand. And my friend James, like 2 weeks before, was like, "Hey, you want to sail from Richards Bay to Thailand?" I've never really sailed much before. And again, I phoned my dad, and he's like, "Yeah, I definitely do. It sounds like a trip of a lifetime." And I was like, pack my bags, and then there I went. I'd never done any sailing, and it was 3 months at sea. We sailed from from Richards Bay to Madagascar, and Madagascar to the Maldives, and Maldives to Thailand. Yeah, it was short. It was insane.
Yes, it sounds insane.
Yes. To tell us like any cool stories there, like, you know, I mean, sounds incredible.
Yeah, I just remember like coming. We had hit a big, like, I think my engine broke or something, heading into Madagascar, and we're stuck in this town called Halville for for a couple of days, and then we went around Madagascar, and we hit this huge storm. And I just remember like I was on watch from like, because someone has to be watched 24 hours a day, and I was on watch from like 4 in the morning to like 6 in the morning, and I was just like, it was a 40-foot catamaran. I was strapped in a pitch black, I can't see your hand like this, and just like going up these huge waves, and
oh
just,
my
like,
god,
going down the other side, and like waves breaking on top of the boat, and I'm just like, what the, like in the dark. And it just made me feel so insignificant, you know, like just shows you how you just feel like this big out there. And then also I tried to dive with some shark, and the shark tried to kind of bite me.
Kind of bite you.
It's called Fighting Sharks with Frank Solomon, and I just thought it'd be cool to jump in the water and film the shark, and the shark didn't think it was that cool, so I had to like kick it away and stuff.
No ways.
Yeah.
Yes.
Check out the video. It's pretty crazy.
Yes.
That was actually my first thing that kind of like went a bit viral, that video.
Cool.
The first thing I posted when I got back to land, and my mom saw it, and she was just like, "What are you doing?"
So Frank, was it just how many were on this catamaran?
It was me, James, and his girlfriend at the time, and another friend of ours. And him and his girlfriend are now married with 2 kids. It's a brilliant test of a relationship, sure.
Tell me about it, Jeepers. Talk about getting thrown in the deep end.
Yeah, sure. No, I take my hat off to them, James and Christy. It was insane, man. We went to this atoll called Basista, India, between Madagascar and South Africa, that like kind of just, you can only see it on the low tide. You should Google it. It's insane. And that's where that incident happened with the shark. And like, I don't know if I ever go back there, but it was just like, you can't get there. So the only way they can get there is by boat. And then, you know, traveling around. When we arrived in the Maldives, actually, we were on the southernmost atoll called Garn. And we arrived, and they were filming South African Survivor right next to like
No way.
Right next to this big fancy hotel. And then Survivor was like in the side. Like, we just sailed there from South Africa.
That's Survivor, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty classic. And then from there to Thailand, and then Thailand. My sponsor at the time was going to pay for my ticket to America. That was another crazy story. And then so James was like, "You sure I'll get your flight back to Cape Town? Like, it's part of the deal." I was like, "No," like he said he's going to do it. So I took a bus to Bangkok, and a guy he keeps saying he'll get my ticket, and he never got my ticket. Like, and then I had 1 day left in my visa to be in Thailand, and I was like, "Flip! Like, I'm not gonna end up in like some Thai prison. Like, it's no joke over here, you know." And I had no money. I had nothing. I was staying in this really dodgy backpackers.
Yes.
I met some chick who was like giving me money, money for food and stuff. And like both my ears were like, I had issues with my ears from being at sea. And like the last day of my visa, the money came through for the flight, and I bought the flight. and I flew back to San Francisco I had one tiny board. I had even less money than I had the first time. Literally had nothing. And back to my friend Jeff's place, and I was like, Jeff, I'm back where I started. I have no money, no boards, nothing. But yeah, that was also like I could have just gone home, you know, something just, I don't know. I had nothing, bro. And I just went back there and I just tried to surf Mavericks again. And I was there for 3 months, I think, because you get a 3-month visa for the States. If you have a German passport, so you get like an ESTA visa where you get 3 months. So I was there for another 3 months, and I eventually emailed the guy that was sponsoring me at the time, and I was like, look, dude, thanks so much. Like, it was the last day of my visa, and he's like, I didn't pay, bro. Like, I don't have any money. And I was like, and then it ended up being my dad who he didn't want to tell me that these guys didn't want to pay for me and stuff, and I was shocked. That was a killer, eh?
Jeez. They must have cut you deep.
Other guy again. I never spoke to that guy again, actually. But yeah, my dad also at the time had been going through some financial difficulty with his business, so he had to borrow the money from someone else. And it was just
no ways.
Oh, yeah. So I say I'm so lucky to have my family, and you know, like, I don't know what I would have done if it wasn't for that. You know, I would have been still in Thailand probably.
Yes, he sounds like a legend of an oak. Like to say, go sailing, go do things, like just super positive.
Yeah, I think he grew up the same as me. You know, like, he just go and do it, and then worry about the consequences afterwards. But yeah, that was So from that point on, I just kept going back to America for like almost 8 years and surfing Mavericks, and man, had some crazy jobs. Sold Christmas trees for years. It was Christmas Day, obviously, and made a killing selling Christmas trees. Worked at the pizza place, worked at a bar, worked at a wine restaurant, walked all over the show. But you know, it was there to serve. Kind of, that was the goal.
Yes, man. That's so cool. But that's like, once again, this is a great lesson for others to learn. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, whatever your passion is, you know, maybe you just go and you do that, and you find a way to kind of, you know, fuel that and finance it. And eventually, I guess something will happen, you know, and especially if you've got a good attitude and a good outlook on life, like, you know, wow, it's sometimes worth being carefree.
Yeah. Well, you have to be like eternally optimistic, because it never looks good at the time, you know. Like, it was never. I never, when I set out, was like, I'm going to be a pro surfer. It never even seemed possible. I was just doing because I didn't know what the end goal was, you know. At the end, I was like telling people I was a pro surfer just because at least then, like 5 years into it, I'd figured out like maybe this is something that I do want to do. I didn't know how I wanted to do it yet. So I started writing the blog, and I started like saying like, this is my job. Like, this is what I do. But no one was really paying me. I think I was getting 500 Rand a month from Reef wetsuits. Something, and but I was like, no, I'm a pro surfer, and then that's kind of how the Let's Be Frank film came about. Is that I met Peter Hamlin, the director, in a bar, and he was like, man, you live like the most insane life. I follow on Instagram, like, you're living the dream. And he's like, and I was like, well, I'm not really living the dream. I'm just like selling the dream, but I don't really. You know, I'm working, I'm selling Christmas trees, and he's like, wow, that's a great idea. We should make a movie about it. Yeah.
Yes, that's so cool, man.
But been cool.
and like, we'll get on to the movie just now, but at what point did you start like surfing in the sort of the world tour? I think it's called the BWWT, Big Wave World Tour.
It was around that time of going to Maverick. I'd surf Mavericks, and then I'd surf Dungeons, and I'd go back and go to Hawaii, like surf all those places. And it's a small community, really. So, and I know all the guys. And then I think they gave me gave me like a wild card spot into the Punta Lobos contest in Chile. I was like an alternate, so they had a list of people, and then there's an alternate list. Is like, okay, if one of these guys don't show up, then you can come, then you're in. And you know, after being in the Red Bull event in South Africa, I developed a good relationship with the guys from Red Bull, and I was like, hey guys, these guys in Chile are having this contest. Like, they said I'm in, but I wasn't in. I just told them that. They're like, but can I go, like, will you guys help with my flight and stuff? And they're like, yeah, of course, yeah, for sure. If you're in the event, for sure. Like, and I was like, okay. And then they give you like a 48-hour, you only get 48 hours for the contest. Because, so, you know, you're like going about daily life, and then like you have to be in Chile on Tuesday. And I'm like, oh shit, okay. So I like got the flight, got everything, went there. The guy picked me at the airport, and I had like skinny jeans, and like, I don't know, I don't look like a big wave surfer. And he's like, hey, you one of the photographers? And I was like, no, I'm one of the surfers. Never forget that. It was so funny. And then like, yeah, I ended up doing like okay in the contest, got like one really good wave, and then it was on the cover of ZigZag, the one wave, and that kind of like really, you know, like put me on a more of a path of being like a pro surfer or whatever.
That's super cool, man.
Yeah, it was cool. I've been winging it since day one.
It sounds like it, but it's great.
You're like manifesting it the whole way through. Like,
yeah, I think that's exactly what I've been doing. I've like, now put it out there that this is what I want to do, and then somehow it ends up happening. You just got to have the right attitude about it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like almost like a textbook manifestation. There, I see myself on the cover of ZigZag magazine. You know, and there you are.
I never, when I was like a Grom, I wouldn't even know how to have got it on the cover. You know, like it seemed so unattainable, and yeah, it was just sure, man. And then like the guys at ZigZag, like there's probably a video somewhere, and they came and they're like, I was getting changed out in London, and they brought the cover, like it's a big deal having the cover of ZigZag, and they brought the cover, but like blown up like so big.
Wow.
And I was like getting out my wetsuit, I turned around, they were holding it, and I was like,
no ways.
No way, that is so sick.
Wow, that's so cool. That
was really cool, yeah.
Is that the moment you found out like about it?
Yeah, then no one tells you until they're like, do you see the magazine? You know, it's not like I didn't know that it was on the cover.
And for everyone listening, like ZigZag is a surfing magazine, and it's, I mean, is it worldwide, but or each country has it? Just South Africa, yeah.
It's the only really surf magazine in South Africa. It's been going for like 30 odd years, maybe longer. So like to be on the cover is like it's a big deal. And yeah, that was like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people then were like, who's this like? You know what I mean? It's kind of like puts you on the map, like who's this like on the cover? We always see the same people in the magazine.
Yeah, that's amazing, bud. Well done.
You spoke a little bit earlier about like how you sort of got interested in getting bigger and bigger waves, but maybe you can sort of tell us more about that. But also, like, how do you train like to sort of charge such big surf?
Yeah, I kind of from lifesaving, I was like, I was a way better competitive lifeguard than I was at surfing. So, I just, when we were surfing, I mean, I was doing lifesaving, the waves like got bigger and bigger, and I just was like, oh, there's no one out. The waves are getting bigger. There's like less and less people out, you know. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then like we'd be bored, and like the older guys would pay me like 10 rand and like $1,000 lolly to like paddle out, catch the biggest wave because there'd be no one out. So like they me to do all these things when the waves are huge, and like I didn't like. I honestly didn't even think twice about it. It was just, I was like, oh, for sure, like it's sick. I'm doing it 100%. Like
$10.
I didn't even know. They only reminded me of that. They're like, Bridge, remember we used to like give you $10 to like guard when it was huge, and I was like, oh yeah, like it wasn't like I didn't even think about it. And yeah, I feel comfortable in the ocean, and I always have. And yeah, as far as training, I broke my back a couple of years ago in Ireland, and when I was filming for Let's Be Frank, and then before that, I never took training too seriously, but I always trained doing lifesaving, which is like turns out to be like some of the best training you can do. And after the film, I mean, after I broke my back, I really like took training a lot more seriously. I have a trainer now, Mark Watson, and like the Red Bull have like a high performance gym here, and I train there twice a week and work on strength and stability. And I do a lot of yoga. I'm actually a yoga teacher now. I've been practicing a long time. Yes. And between yoga and training, Lifesaving, that kind of keeps me fit enough.
Hey, man.
That's awesome, man.
That's so cool. And one thing you touched on there, Bud, which it got my like taste buds and saliva like going in my mouth, was granadilla lollies, jeepers.
Sure, is that like, that's got to be the most South African thing?
Yes.
Like the guys carrying the cooler box on the beach, granadilla lolly to make you jolly, and they're like, they've got all those like little sayings that they say.
But those are the funniest guys on the beach ever. Yeah. What do you say? Like granadilla lolly to make you jolly. They've got a few of them.
Caramel crunch for after lunch. They got all kinds of things, right?
Caramel crunch.
Yeah. So talking about the training and stuff, like actually, what about say survival techniques? So for when you fall from a big wave, like it's no kind of like easy thing how to actually do it, and is there any sort of training you do in like particular? Do you have any survival mechanisms or whatever?
No, not really. You're just surfing every day, so surfing's the best training, really. You surf every day. You're small, the same. If you fall on like a 3-foot wave, it's a similar. It's the same motion as if you fall on like a huge wave. So just like your general fitness and making sure you're healthy, eating properly. I look after what I eat. I look after my body. You can't, in surfing, you can't control the ocean. It's out of your control, but you can control your fitness and you can control your equipment. So if you're on top of those two things, the third one hopefully falls into place.
Yeah. Cool. That's so right, but and that's for anything in life, to be honest with you. Like if people seriously take their health properly, you operate just better, and especially in tough situations, you just like, you have more clarity and more focus and stuff.
100%. Like I said, after I hurt my back, I've become pedantic about what I ate. And for a while there, I went a little bit overboard. I think you can go extreme. And I think I did. I was eating like almost like a ketogenic diet, I guess, before it was a big thing. And I lost so much weight that when I went to Ireland again to go surf, and I couldn't surf because I was too cold. I had like zero body fat, and then I did some more research, and like your body isn't meant to be at 100% for extended period of time. You can train up to an event, but then you need to let it recover. So it's rather operate at 70% all the time. And I stopped eating. I don't eat beef. I don't eat pork. I don't eat chicken. I try and only eat the fish that I've been spearfishing a lot and fishing. Try and only eat the fish that I catch. And I eat lamb from my friend's farm, and or meat. Try and stay away from processed stuff.
100%.
Eating well is the easiest thing in the world. People are completely overcomplicated.
It's true.
Yes,
that's good. It's so true, that bad.
It's like
eat some vegetables and some salad, and then maybe a small piece of fish, and like that's it. You don't have to. That's it.
Yeah,
it's not rocket science.
Steam it. Put some like lemon and salt on, or put it in the.
Get a couple of good fats, a bit of good butter, and that's it. And if you eat like that, you're going to be 100% fine. Of course, you shouldn't eat sweets, chocolates, smoke cigarettes. I think everyone knows what healthy eating is. Stay away from processed, carbohydrates like white bread, and people just they think really overcomplicated. If you have a little bit of vegetables with a bit of salad and some meat, or maybe no meat, whatever. But
it's one of the biggest industries in the world. Like if you think about it, like clean eating, like diets and supplement industry and all these things. And it's like, really, guys, it's not that difficult.
People, I think, like a lot of things, people just overthink it. Like vegetables and fruit and no processed food. Like that for a month.
Exactly.
Like that for a month, 100% you will lose weight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
Exactly, man. And but you've been on some like epic adventures. You surf these ridiculously massive waves, but something like even more scary happened in 2012 when you had to give your like first public speaking gig, or you did your first public speaking gig. What was that like?
Yeah, that was terrifying, eh? Uh, but that was also one of those things where I was like, what? Are people going to listen to me, you know? And no, I was terrified. I just remember drinking like a bunch of beers, and I was like, whoa, have I had too many beers? Like, how many beers should I have? I mean, that was scary. And, but once you do it once or twice, you kind of get used to it. And it's just like one of those things that you could overthink it and be scared about it, or you can just do it kind of thing. And, yeah, after the film as well, I had to do a speech like after every showing, and I was like, people don't really care what you say anyway.
That's true, man.
Do you feel more comfortable with it now, like that you've done it a few times?
A little bit, yeah. It depends on the situation, but yeah, I mean, I'm not like, I don't know how to say, I'm not like, I don't know how to say this.
Like the center of attention, like sort of thing.
No, but I also like, I'm not like intimidated by people in a way. Like, I'm not like, this guy's like a billionaire businessman. Like, I'm like, that's cool. Like, like, I'm not like, I don't like, I think I used to be worried about like who was in the audience, like, oh, this guy's there, like, what is, and it's like, well, you know, I do something that's super cool too. So
yeah,
you know, whatever you do, that's rad. Like, you don't have to overthink. I think I overthought like the audience, you know.
Yeah.
You like think about every person. Oh, what did that guy think? What does this guy do? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I always think it's important when you give a speech to remember that the people are actually there to listen to you, right? So like they it doesn't matter who they are, they're actually there because they want to listen to you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that kind of like should in a way put you at ease. You're like, yeah, cool.
They're rooting
cool.
for you, yeah.
Yeah, they're rooting for you.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what I was thinking, but when you first do it, you're like, all these things are going through your head. You're like, well, like, I don't know. You know, at the time I was like, there's a huge opportunity. Like, maybe there's someone in the audience who would like sponsor me, you know, like you're thinking about something in a different way, whereas like, if you, like you say, you just think that they're all actually there to listen to you, then you would have to like screw it up really badly for them not to. You know what I mean? Like, what could you say that people would be like?
Like you'd have to offend somebody, sort of thing.
Really,
you know what I mean?
You'd have to try hard to upset people, I think.
Yeah, that's true,
exactly. If you start to always say too many times, really no one even knows.
No one really, exactly. That was the other thing. Like say or like
Totally, man. And so like, just, you know, you've touched on your health routines, and I think it's so important, like just understanding that a little bit more. Maybe you can just tell us a bit more about, like, do you have a set routine that you sort of follow now day to day, like in the morning routine or anything like that?
Sure, my morning routine hasn't changed for years, but I'm a pedantic about it. I have lemon water, like hot lemon water, every single morning. As soon as when I wake up, I have lemon water. I like lemon, obviously. I mean, you can Google the benefits. I'm not going to run through them, but there's hundreds of benefits of having not just lemon, but just warm water. It's really hydrating. It's good for weight loss. It's a acidic lemon, but it alkalines in your system, and like, you're sleeping for 8 hours, so your body isn't ingesting any kind of food. So it's basically been fasting the whole night. And if the first thing you have is caffeine, it's like quite a shock to your system, an acidic shock to your empty stomach. So I have the lemon water, then I have a coffee normally, and then I don't eat until, well, at the moment I don't really eat until 11 or 12. So I'll eat at around 8 o'clock at night, and then I eat again at 12. So it's like intermittent fasting as well. And then I normally have like a omelet, a veggie omelet, or like avocado on toast, and like a green juice, normally something green. And yeah, that's kind of my daily my daily structure for food. And I think I sometimes I used to be very strict on if I went off that, but if you think of it over like a 365-day period, like 85 to 90% of the time I'm following that routine. So if I go off a couple of days, it doesn't really matter, as long as over a long period you are on the same program.
Yeah. And do you do any exercise in that, like in that morning routine at all?
I normally do yoga from 8:30 to 9:30. That's a good class that I do in the morning, or I surf, or I do training. I don't have like super strict, but in like an ideal week, I'd wake up, have my lemon water, have my coffee, go to yoga, 8:30 to 9:30, then come back, maybe check the waves, have something sport to eat, surf, then train, and come back and have like lunch or something.
Yes.
And when you're looking at waves, like do you, as part of being a big wave surfer, like yourself, like, are you looking at waves all over the place in the world, or do you just kind of look where you're at, and also then
I'm looking right now,
out the window.
No, I mean, I'm a surfer, like I think a lot of people get that wrong too. Like, yeah, I'm a big wave surfer, but I'm a surfer. The waves aren't always big. The waves are big here, like surf 3 or 4 times a year. The other 360 days, you have to still surf. So 98% of the time you're surfing small waves and just being in the water, and then you're getting ready for like checking swells. Like there's a good swell for Indonesia next week that I was looking at, but I don't know, I think the winds are bad. So like with technology, you could be anywhere in the world in 2 days. So kind of just got to decide and look at the budgets and where you want to go and stuff.
It's such a cool way, like just literally like no set routine when it comes to those big waves. You're like, yes, Oaks, the waves are big. We're going, like.
Yeah, so I know. Cool. It's cool. It's sick. It's so exciting too.
Because the guy that we mentioned, Shannon Worrell, that we had on, he was telling us about like, because he's based on the west coast of Australia in Perth. Or no, like a bit sort of south
Margaret
of Perth.
River,
Yeah.
Margaret,
and he's like, like the Oaks would be like the night before. They're like, everyone's on their WhatsApp groups or whatever the story is. And they're like, cool, this is where the big waves are tomorrow. And then they all just head there, and they've got like crews of people that go, like with the jet skis and guys towing people in and just like recording. Yes,
it's like so that cool. Everywhere. Everywhere. I mean, you need safety and you need, it's pretty cool. It's like a little club, all these guys are like, and it's like out of dungeons, we go out and surf, and like we come back in and we'll surf, because there's thousands of tourists that go and look at the seals.
I don't
know if you guys have been there, but there's thousands and thousands of people every day going to the seals, and then we'll go surf these huge waves, like massive 20-30 foot waves. Someone almost died, some of the insane waves, and we come back and we all like, these guys all come after their seal, and we all like drinking beers, like eyes of bloodshot, and we've just had this like insane experience that we can't even explain to these people. They're like, they just went out there to look at seals. They couldn't even imagine that we were surfing out there. It's like this cool little club.
Yes, it's insane, man.
And
in the early days, we used to jump off the seal boat. So you'd be like on the boat with your board, and there'd be like 1,000 Chinese tourists. They're like, what are you guys doing? And then like they jump off, and then we'd be like, cheers guys, and you jump off the boat, and they're like,
classic.
Yes, that's classic. That's a good party trick, I must say. Epic, man. So Bud, you've also touched on it already. Like about 5 years ago, you dealt quite a serious blow, and you were surfing, like you said, in Ireland, and you broke your L2 vertebra. I mean, it's quite a big deal. Like, how did you deal with it? Was it like career threatening at all?
This is kind of it was another crazy situation where I was like at the bottom of this like really big cliff. But like a little backstory, before that I'd been like signed with Hurley in South Africa, which was like a big deal for me. But I was sponsored by like the South African branch of Hurley or whatever, and obviously like the goal is to sponsored by Hurley in the States. And before I left on that trip to Ireland, the guys in Hurley, South Africa were like, look, we're shutting down the business. It's not doing well in South Africa. And I was like, fuck, you know, that's like kind of wasn't totally my income, but it was a lot of support financially. And I emailed the guys in America and I was like, look, I really want to carry on doing this. And like, can I come and see you guys and talk about maybe still being sponsored by you? And they're like, yeah, come chat to us or something. And I was like, okay, sick. I'm going to go to Ireland. I'm going to get like epic waves. And then I'm going to go there and be like, had this whole spiel that I wanted to give them, you know? And yeah, I broke my back. So surfing this wave called Riley's, and I pulled into this little barrel and tiny little wave like this big and landed seated on the rocks, cracked my ulti vertebrae.
No ways.
And the wave is at the bottom of like this 300-foot cliff. And like I didn't have, I don't think I had medical aid. So I was like, well, I'm not gonna call a helicopter because I'm not gonna be able to pay like how many thousands of pounds it's gonna cost to call a helicopter. Right? So I walked up the cliff, and then my friends took me to the hospital in Limerick. And I remember I stopped on the way. I was like, oh, let's get a couple of beers. My back's so sore. So I like drank a couple of beers. And we got to the hospital, and there was like a line of people out the door, bro.
No ways.
So many people. And they're like, we're too full. I'm like, I think I'm like,
yes.
It really hurt my back, you know, like, oh, well, you can come back later. Or, so then I got my friends to like do a little loop, and then I just like lay on the ground of the hospital. Like, so, and they were like, came running out, like to stretcher, like, oh, yeah, okay, what's going on? And then they took me inside. And the lady's like, what have you been drinking? I was like, well, a couple of beers for the pain, you know. What do you mean, a beers for the pain? She didn't think it was very fun. And yeah, I ended up breaking my back, my ulti vertebrae. And I remember just being worried like that the hospital was going to be, I had like 5 MRIs, like all the stuff, and I didn't have like medical insurance. I was like, oh my God, it's going to be so gnarly. And then they were like, okay, you can go. And I'm like, well, I was like, what do you mean I can go? Like, do you want my, like, no, you're good, you know, like, we'll see you later. Like, we don't, okay, bye.
Wow.
Like,
ran out of there.
Yeah, the healthcare in Ireland, some I don't know, no one gave me that memo. And I was like, oh, I didn't pay a cent. I was like,
wow.
Funny, when you have nothing like that, that's all you worry about. It's like,
yeah.
Like in the hospital. And I couldn't fly because of my back, obviously. So I was in this, we're busy filming for my movie, Let's Be Frank. Director's like, we're supposed to film this fight scene. He's like, wow. He's like, do you think we can still do it? I'm like, I don't think I can do it.
Yes.
My back's kind of broken. And so they put me in this, they had hired like a van to film with all the film stuff. And then they drove me back to the UK, to Wimbledon. I just remember lying in like an apartment there, but like I couldn't fly for like 2 weeks, just like in like a brace, just like, oh my gosh, like what have I done now, you know? And then yeah, my mom was like, just come home. And I was like, flip. I was like, I can't go home. Like, this is it. Like, I got to go see Hurley. Otherwise, that if I don't go there right now, like they're never gonna sponsor me. You know, that was, I could have easily sent them an email, but I knew I had to go and see them face to face and
strike while the iron's hot.
Kind of, yeah. When they were like, well, broken back, I'm like,
yes.
Told them I wanted to be the guy in South Africa, and anyway, they ended up sponsoring me in America, which was so it was not one of those things I probably should have gone home, but I went, and it ended up working out that I got sponsored by them in the States and stuff. So it's pretty epic.
How did that conversation go? So you get over there, you tell them the story and everything.
Yeah, well, first of all, I went to flew to San Francisco to my friend Jeff's house because he's like my really good friend at this point. And I'm like phoning Pat O'Connell, who's the team manager, and I'm like, Pat, like, I was like, dude, like, I really want to speak to you about my contract and like what's going on in South Africa. And then he's like, he doesn't reply and doesn't reply. I'm like, oh my word, like what is going on? Like to me, it was such a big deal, you know? And to him, he's got like athletes that get, you know, $3-4 million a year. Like, I don't get, you know what I mean? Like I'm bottom of the barrel. Like a couple $1,000 to them is not,
yeah,
it's like whatever. So he doesn't, and then I just remember I was like, I think I bought like a quart and like a loose and something. I was just like, oh my word, this is it. Like, going home, like at the end. 3 days later, he's like, sorry, bro, I've just been so busy. He's like, yeah, of course, man, it's fine. Don't even worry about it. And I was like, what do you mean it's fine? It's like, oh, we just sort you out, don't worry. I was like, oh my God, really? You could have just told me that.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah, it was crazy. And they ended up going to Hawaii. Actually, I went to Hawaii because Hurley had a house there for all the athletes during the winter. And still at this point, I've got broken back. So I'm just like, couldn't really do anything. Been in Ireland for a month. Then I was there for 3 months. So I'd been home for almost like 6 months. And yeah, ended up actually surfing again while I was in Hawaii, like after 3 months. And yeah, the whole thing worked out. It was sick.
Yes, man.
That was crazy.
How was your mindset at that stage? Was it like when you were like not being able to surf and stuff? It must have been really tough. And what did you had the brace, but were you doing anything else like for the recovery?
Like, you know, that's when I really got into like health and like looking after what I eat. And I was doing so much research on like eating things that like help my bones and everything. I mean, it's actually breaking your back like that. It's not really so much of a big deal. It's like breaking your arm, kind of a bone. It's a lot better than breaking a tendon, or, you know what I mean? Or like a disc or something, because the bone heals. Luckily, it broke in such a way that it could just heal properly. So it was basically just staying immobile. And when I was in Hawaii, like at that point, I was like, I'm sponsored by Hurley, like America, like I don't really care at this point. Like,
yeah.
I'm living the dream right now. Like, yeah,
it's classic, but
that's one of the things.
Talking about, I think it's in Hawaii. One of the waves there is called Jaws, and you reckon it's like one of the most scary waves to actually surf. Like, you know, not just surfing, but also getting out it. What is it actually like, bud?
That's where Laird Hamilton and all those, where you see those photos, videos of all those guys surf. And yeah, the getting in and out there is way scarier than surfing the wave. It's just like this white water that breaks. You have to walk down this cliff, and then there's these waves that break up onto these big boulders that like are rolling around. And we have these giant boards. So like you're like trying to jump into this white water and time it that like your leash doesn't get caught and you don't get sucked back onto the rocks. And like, yeah, it's just, man, getting in and out there is so terrifying. People get so destroyed just paddling in and out. They should put up a camera there. Never even make it out. And
yes,
you get out and you're like, oh my word, like now I have to go surf. Like it's way more scary.
Classic.
That's crazy.
Yes.
And the waves are massive. I mean, we're talking.
Waves are massive. Biggest the waves can get. Biggest waves that you get, pretty much.
Can you just give us an idea? Like, I mean, I think it's hard to kind of comprehend even at the best of times, but you know, like, is there a reference point for people to kind of imagine how big some of the waves get there?
I mean, the waves are huge. They're huge waves. They're like a huge building or something. Like, I don't know. The waves are like 100 foot.
Yeah.
No ways.
Yeah, it's gigantic. It's huge. As big as waves can get. And that's like the pinnacle of big wave surfing is out of Jaws, and guys are pushing it so hard. It's pretty insane.
But where does like Nazaré fit into all of this, like in terms of big waves and stuff? Because
I forgot about Nazaré. Yeah, Nazaré also. I mean, Nazaré probably gets taller where the guys are towing, but in terms of paddling surfing, like Jaws is definitely like the pinnacle. Okay. But yeah, Nazaré has also become one of the premier big wave spots in the world. So that's a crazy place.
Are you ever going to go there, do you think?
I've surfed there.
Oh, you have? Okay, cool.
I haven't surfed there when it's huge, but when I was working with Peter, like we stayed in Ericeira. It's a beautiful place. I love Portugal.
But that's where I'm moving to, Ericeira. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm moving to. So
insane.
So when you need a place to stay, bud, you come stay with me again.
Yeah, I'd move there tomorrow. It's epic.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. Thing. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, validation.
That's super cool, man. Talking about like, I mean, traveling, you've obviously done a lot of it, and you've traveled for a long time as well. I mean, to all these places, even Ericeira. I don't know how to pronounce it, guys. Sorry, but what is the importance of traveling for you? Like, what has it meant for you over the years?
Sure, bro. You know, I've traveled so much.
But is there anything like does it like put anything into perspective for you? You know, like what you see, the people, these sort of things, like, you know, in any sort of way.
I mean, I've learned so much, and I've made, you know, I have friends all over the world. I know I can go to any of those places now tomorrow and have somewhere to stay, and like, which is insane. Like, I mean, I would never have imagined that when I first started, you know, that I can just rock up in Hawaii and have somewhere to stay, or in Portugal, or anywhere in the world, really. Like, I've got friends all over, and it doesn't, initially it was all obviously like, I still love traveling. It's like a big part of who I am.
Yeah.
I just recently, it does become, it's also not all it's cracked up to be, though. You know, once the excitement and stuff is worn off, it does become very tiring and taxing on your health, and like, yeah, it can be very difficult. Like, I was there when traveling recently, and I had 3 or 4 days of delayed flights, and I was just like, man, like, those are 3 or 4 days they were just gone. Like, I'm never gonna have those days again. I was just sitting in an airport, like, not being able to do anything. And I think as I'm getting a bit older, that's like
overrated in a way, isn't it?
Sure, it's overrated, eh?
Yeah.
Like the dream of living out of a suitcase and stuff, it sounds cool, but when you're actually doing it, you like, there's nothing more in the world that you want to do but go home and sleep in your own bed and just see all your friends, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But a lot of the lessons that I've learned in my life have come through traveling and being by myself in situations where I've had nothing and I've had to look after myself, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I still want to go to so many places.
Yeah. Yes. There are so many amazing places out there to see, and there's so many lessons to be had, I think, just by visiting other countries. And it also just, you know, makes us like, you know, maybe respect and appreciate where we come from as well. You know, that little bit more. We kind of see things from a different lens. That's for sure.
But I think also, like, you don't have to, like, some people don't have the luxury to travel. You know, so I don't think that you necessarily can only experience those things if you go overseas. You know, you could still have the same experiences in your own country or neighboring countries, kind of, you know what I mean? Like, because I'm like, in a way, we're privileged people, we're able to travel and go on planes, and you know, you can still have those same lessons, but not maybe in another country. I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right, but we're definitely privileged that we can. Like, most people actually can't do that. That's for sure.
Exactly, yeah. And like, you know, the more, like, you just spoke about the street surfer thing, like that, the more I do projects like that and try and look at issues in this country, like, we all three are privileged white people, really. Like, we've had every opportunity in the whole world, and there's people that don't have those opportunities, that will never have an iPhone to be able to listen to this podcast. So
yeah,
I think that you can also have, I hope that you can still have those kind of life experiences that I did, but in a different way, like, and not by having to go overseas to experience them, you know?
Yeah,
I agree with that 100%. Like, you just think of the diversity in South Africa, even just in one country. Like, you know, one of the things with traveling is interacting with different cultures and different environments, and you can totally do that within South Africa, even, or any country you're in.
Yeah,
and so
exactly.
Like we can always explore that more.
No, 100%. I mean, you can go to Namibia, you can go to, well, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's different, you know. For me, it took traveling for my story, you know. But someone else's story, it might be something else. It might be just some other experience that put them on their path. For me, it was that day where I said, okay, I'm going to go to California. I'm going to go to Mavericks. And that kind of set me on a path that I'm still on. So, but I don't think it's the only path though.
Yeah, totally.
Of course, man. And talking about, like, I guess, experiencing things and privilege and these sort of things, you set up this amazing thing called Sentinel, if I hope that's pronounced correctly, Sentinel Ocean Alliance. And you currently have like 100 kids a week going through this program, and you just, seriously, but it's absolutely incredible what you're doing. So maybe you can just tell us a little bit about that.
Thanks, man. Yeah, the Sentinel is actually the mountain that overlooks Dungeons in Hart Bay.
Okay, cool.
It's kind of like a big part of Hart Bay. But I was traveling in France and saw this video of this kid in Hart Bay walking down to the beach, and he got shot like 5 or 6 times in the face with rubber bullets. And it was a protest, and I was just like, when I was this light his age, I was just doing nippers and learning everything I did about the ocean. And that was how I was able to live the life that I am. And I just started, something just clicked inside me. I was like, flip, like I want these kids to have that same opportunity that I did. And I kind of drove around Hart Bay when I got back and found a site that I thought would be cool. And I approached Waves for Change, which is another nonprofit who does like incredible work with kids. And I was like, what do we need to start a school here? And they had like some minimum requirements. And so, yeah, that's how the whole project started. And we've got a life-saving club now. I started Hart Bay Surf Life-Saving, and I'm busy setting up like a school where the kids like learn to surf, but then afterwards they like come to the school and they'll learn. I haven't figured it out yet exactly, but what I'm thinking is the kids go surf, right? And then they're enjoying it. And then I've also, after they surf, the local restaurants give them like a nice meal. And then I'm hoping like once they get their meal, then like we go upstairs and I have like a classroom, and they're like eating, and I give them like a short curriculum on the environment, why we need to protect the environment, why they need to like work on recycling. And I'm still busy figuring that out. But yeah, that's a plan.
Awesome, man.
It's amazing, buddy. Well done, man. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, you heard my story. I never, it's funny. People are like, oh, like you're an activist or you do that. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I've never run a charity. I've never set up anything like this. Like I'm complete amateur. I'm like, I know that something, I live in South Africa, like every other privileged white person in South Africa, like it's obvious every day, like the separation of wealth in this country. Like I just wanted to do something.
Cool,
like,
man.
And it's not, and you know what? It's been so easy. It's been the easiest thing in the world. I just found this site and I was like, oh, I want to do something. And I just did it. And like, it really hasn't been that much of a difficult process. And I wish how many like wealthy white privileged people there are in South Africa, if everyone just did something. I know a lot of people do, but I think a lot of people don't. And if everyone did something small, like we would definitely live in a different country.
That's
totally
mate,
agree,
it's super inspiring what you're doing, Frank. Seriously, like people love to overcomplicate it, but you're so right. Like you can start small. You can just start with something, but do something, and I think wherever you are in the world, there's always someone that is having it harder than you are, and you can always lend a hand some way or another. And it was actually quite interesting. We Gareth and I spoke to Art Matthews. We interviewed him and we launched his podcast last week. And
cool.
that podcast, he was talking about you, and we didn't actually click at the time, and then only afterwards you were like, wow, that's just such a crazy coincidence. But it's just so amazing when you've made this initiative and then other people are like, wow, that I would dig to help out with that. So it just takes someone making the initiative,
Yeah. Art had an epic concert for us and raised a bunch of money because he also stays in Hart Bay. So yeah, absolute legend. Thanks for doing that, Art. And yeah, I mean, I don't, a lot of people said that like, I don't know what I'm doing is inspiring, whatever, but I don't feel like that it's inspiring. I just did it. I just did something and it really didn't take that much. So like, it wasn't like I did something that was inspiring. You know what I mean? I didn't like conquer Mount Everest or like do something insane. All I did was make a couple of phone calls and start a school, and it's helping. And that's literally all that it takes. You know, it doesn't have people overcomplicate everything. Like when you look at pollution and stuff, plastic pollution, that's what I said in that video. Like if you just see something on the ground, just pick it up. Like that's all you have to do. You don't have to try and stop all the pollution in the world, because that's unattainable, and you're always going to let yourself down. But if you just do little things, and you know, I love that quote by Gandhi, be the change. You know, like what else can you do? You can't affect other people and what they do, but you can do something every day that, you know, makes the world a little better place. Whether it's not eating beef, because beef is like has a huge impact on the environment. Like it makes more pollution than cars. Okay, so you stop eating beef. That's a huge deal. If everyone did that, we'd live in a different world, you know. Like, so if you yourself make that kind of change, I don't know, it can make a big impact.
It's a place to start always. And so you touched on it there briefly. You want to teach the kids or educate them a little bit on like waste and plastics and things. So maybe you just tell us briefly a little bit about like things we can maybe do to limit our plastic use, and how bad is it for the ocean, and maybe how we can help a little bit.
I think there's so many things you can do. Obviously the easiest ones are like, you know, bring your own bags to the shop. Everyone goes to the shop, just bring your own bags. Try and avoid things in single-use plastic. You could use, you know, if you get your fruit, people like, that's my worst. Guys are like, get one orange and then they put it in those plastic bags. And I wait, I'm like, why does it have to be in a plastic bag? I mean, it comes in nature. Nature designs a bag. You're not eating the skin. Same with a banana. Why does a banana need to be in a plastic? It comes in a bag. And like, I don't know, that's beyond me when people put one banana in one of those plastic bags. So that's one thing. I mean, coffee cups. I mean, every person that has a coffee every single day, like just get a reusable cup. Like it's such an easy thing to do. It saves you money. If coffee is less, it's like the easiest thing to do. Like Seattle here, they give you $3 off if you bring your own cup. Like, cool. And then you get free coffees, you know?
Yeah, but for sure, man. That's
epic. There's a guy actually in my local place. I go to this one. I don't always go there, but sometimes go to Seattle, and I have like 5 free coffees. And I was like, sick. And I was like, what, do I have the most? And she's like, no, the guy has 200 free coffees on his thing.
What?
And I'm like, and I was like, well, does he bring his own cup? Like, and it's like, no, he just, like, think about it. Just coffee cup, okay? Think how many people do you think get takeaway coffee every day in the world?
There's probably, I don't know, maybe 1 billion, but I don't know, maybe.
At least.
Yeah, exactly. And those cups are mostly not recyclable.
Where do those cups go? Imagine 1 billion coffee cups in front of you in your room right now where you're standing.
Yeah.
It would be the height of a mountain, you know? It's like, and that's like something that's so easy. Like you just go and you buy a reusable cup and you can use it every day. Like why wouldn't you use it, you know? I don't know. Just little things like that where people overthink the issue, and it's like a really simple solution to it.
Yeah, it's so true. But in like a lot of the things you said, it's the small things that actually count and end up making a difference, you know, over time. And if everyone did this, it literally would be a different place. And we really do need to realize that we all have a responsibility. We all live on this flipping planet. Let's all look after it for the better. You know what I mean? So that the sea is in good condition, so that the air is in good condition, so that we are flipping healthier and better and stuff overall. We use less stuff. Like, let's just all contribute, seriously.
Yeah, I mean, even just with littering, you know, like people just, I mean, like, I don't know, like, say I often ask that person, like, if you in your house and you're making some food, would you just throw your plate on the floor? Like, what would your wife or your kids say? They'd be like, you're insane. But like, to do that in nature is fine somehow. So I don't know, people's perspectives need to shift, and it just needs to be like a consciousness that everyone just, you know, like I'm not an environmentalist either. I'm not like an activist or anything. I'm not like a humanitarian, or I'm just a surfer. Like but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not I'm not going to have a huge impact. But if all of us can do something, that would have a big impact, you know?
Yeah, for sure, man.
Like
Totally.
I never set out to be like an environmentalist, like a plastic police. I don't have like a little siren if you use a plastic straw. Like if sometimes I have to, someone gives you a straw or plastic bag, like it's just the world that we live in, you know? It's just about being, I think it's like being conscious about these things. Like, okay, like that is bad. Like maybe I shouldn't use it. I don't know.
Yeah.
There should be a bloody siren or plastic police for people that litter though. Like it's such a ridiculous thing, eh?
Yes.
Like on purpose, you know, like you open your window down and chuck something out is one of the most like confronting things for
but it happens all the time.
both, all of us.
It's happening right now. People are doing that right now. Someone's hooting and someone's throwing their bag out the window. Like
it's
so
like
true. The human mentality.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but and also, but look, we haven't got much more time with you, but we can't not speak to you about the reason that we're actually speaking, if you know what I mean. So like you've put together this amazing video about street surfers and talking about pollution and stuff like that. Like, but it's honestly like, for me, being South African especially, like it brought not only like joy and like happiness to me, but also like tears, you know, like there's this sort of real kind of contradiction, I guess, of it in a great way. Can you maybe just tell us like how that came about, you know, doing that video?
Thanks, man. Yeah, like so many people have said that they brought tears to their eyes, and I don't think we ever expected it to go so viral, you know. And I just want to say a big shout out to Corona, because, you know, Corona is a massive global brand, and they paid for the video. Like this is their video, you know, like, and for them to not have branded that like that at all, really, and like to really believe in getting rid of single-use plastic. And, you know, I've been working with them a lot. Their beers no longer come in those plastic things, like they come in a cardboard box, and like their whole office is plastic free. And to see a huge corporate brand like that, like really like live up to what they're saying, I think it's amazing. And those are the kind of people that can make a difference, you know. Like if Coca-Cola is suddenly like, we're not going to use plastic bottles anymore, boom, that's it, no more plastic. That's you know what I mean? They could change the world tomorrow. Big shout out to Corona. And then also iForce, the production company that I've been working with, who put the film together. They did an amazing job on the video, I think. We shot that film 3 times before with another company. But the street surfers that we used then, we couldn't find them again. Because we got them cell phones, but I think they either had them stolen or they got lost, and we never found the guys again. And I mean, how do you find? And then it's hard to find people. You know, we went to Johannesburg, and it's gonna go find some guy in Johannesburg with no ID and no cell phone. Good luck with that. Big city. And I mean, the idea basically came around with Corona and their agency, because they were trying to look at tying people who don't live near the ocean in Johannesburg and don't really have a connection to the ocean with the ocean, and why they should try and protect it, you know. And that's kind of how the whole thing came about. And yeah, man, those 2 guys, making the film was, when those 2 guys came to Cape Town, bro, I was also in tears there. Like, Mokete and Tabo, they'd never had a shower before, bro. So we got them at Airbnb in Camps Bay, and I had to show Tabo like how the shower worked, because they don't have any running water.
No way, Spud.
Yeah, it was deep, eh?
Wow.
So, I mean, it's 2019. I had to show him that, dude, like turn the thing and the water comes out. It was just, like no one listening to this has ever in their entire lives got anything to complain about, because those guys' life in reality is so far from anything that we've ever experienced. Like going there was just so mind-blowing to me. Especially going to their little house, their little shack. They have no running water, no toilet, so they have like poo in a bucket, obviously, in their little thing, and then they throw the bucket out and rinse it out, and they collect water. and there's like just dirt floors, and they live in the place is like a garbage dump, literally, because they separate the plastic there. But there's like this amazing sense of community there, you know, like they see in the video, the guys, when we got there, the guys are making food, and they're like, oh, you want food? Like, imagine going, if I went down the street and asked someone for food, they'd like chase me away.
Yeah.
There's this incredible sense of community, and yeah, it was, a lot of people ask me what now for those guys, and I don't know what the answer is. I don't know, you know, I don't know what we can do. There's 100,000 people in that community. Like, if anything, if that video just raised awareness about those guys and people, you know, give them some respect, that would be insane. But yeah.
Yes, man.
I know, it's crazy.
Just is such a beautiful film, bud, seriously. And yeah, man, like, yes, you said, like, even the stuff, well, there's stuff there that we didn't see, you know, which you just spoke on, like, you know, them never having a shower before.
Never.
I mean,
I had to show him, he never been into a shopping center. So I was like, when we were in Joburg store, I was like, look, Yerks are the biggest legends I've ever met. And I was like, I'm going to buy you whatever you want. Like, let's go to the shop right now. So I took them to Mr. Price, and I was like, you just pay, you buy whatever clothes you want, I'll pay for it. And they'd never been into a shopping center before. They'd never been into a lift. The guys at the shop and Mr. Price were like we can't, like, the security was like, sorry, like, we can't really let these guys into the shop. And I'm like, what do you mean? And like, I mean, and I get it. The guys that were like street people, you know, like, and it's like quite a fancy mall. And I was just like, really, just buy whatever you want. Like, you know, just whatever it's cost me is nothing compared to, you know, like their experience. And they walked out of there with like the biggest smiles on their face, and they had like new shoes and clothes, and just all those new experiences for them. Like when the lift came up, they'd never been in a lift, and it opened up, and we were in, like, you know, in those malls, you like come into the shop and open up like in a women's section in Woolworths, and it was just like, they were like, they'd never seen so much just stuff in their whole life, like all these things and mannequins, and it was all just like things they'd never seen before, you know. They were just like eyes like this. Yeah, it was the whole thing was just, it was a complete trip, and like, yeah, it was crazy,
Yes, but it's so the contrast of how is so stark of how much excess there is and stuff in our lives. When you see it, when I hear you speaking like that, I just think, yeah, like if you picture that scene, there's just so much stuff everywhere, and you think, what is it really all?
I know, what is just stuff? It's just things, you know. All those guys had with the clothes on their back, and maybe one or two other things at home. And it's like, they were like, what do you do with all this stuff? Like, what do people do with it? You know, like, another funny story is like, I was like, oh, we're there. And I was like, hey, we're going to go like have an epic meal. Like we just get pizza, like buy the boys whatever they want. And they're like, and then we got like a super like healthy kind of pizza. And I checked, they were my kids are like trying to eat it. They're like trying their hardest. And they're like, man, this is disgusting. And they're like,
no ways.
They're like, you can imagine, like, these guys don't have much. You would think they would be so stoked, and they're like, no, we don't like this. This is terrible. You know, they just wanted pap and chicken, and like, or like carb and like a meat. They didn't want this food that we were eating. I find that so interesting. You know,
this processed rubbish.
Yeah. No, but I mean, what they eat is even worse. It's just processed carbs. It's just white carbs. It's the same, but they're just like I don't know. Their diets are terrible, and I think it's also a lot of why they're in this, like, you know, it keeps you in that situation, just eating that way, like no vegetables, just like meat and vorse. And I thought it was so funny. We took them to this fancy restaurant. They're like, nah, we want KFC.
Good for them. Yes, but it's such a beautiful story, man. Yes, thanks so much for we got to thank people like you for just doing stuff like that, because it just inspires, you know, innumerable people. It really is that inspiring, and I think everyone that watches that, whether you're South African or not, will get a tear in their eye, because you can relate to the ocean, or you can relate to, you know, there's so many things one can relate in that video, and it's super powerful, man. So,
and it's real. It's not like, I'm not trying to like
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those guys aren't trying to pretend to be something that they're not. It's just that's how their life is, you know. And that's those things that you saw. Like that was the first time they'd ever seen the ocean in their life. Like they'd never seen the ocean. They never left where they were. Like, can you? I mean, you can't fake that.
Yeah.
No.
It was crazy.
No, you're right, bud.
The whole thing was just like, it was insane.
Crazy,
yes, bud. So yeah, but I mean, look, like I said, we are running out a bit of time there. So we just wanted to ask, what are you excited about going into the future, and what have you got coming up, and also maybe how can people get in touch with you?
Like I think, you know, now everyone's like, oh, what are you going to do now? You know, you can't be a pro surfer forever. Like, well, I never planned to be a pro surfer in the first place. So, so I think what I'm planning for the next couple of years is to really grow this project that I started in Hard Bay, the Sentinel Ocean Alliance, which is like the Waste for Change school, the Lifesaving Club, and like an ocean school, and try and see if we can get a couple more going in South Africa in other areas. And I want to keep working in creating awareness around marine plastic pollution and by protecting the environment in the ocean. That's something like moving forward, I really want to like have a bigger part in, creating awareness around it, and obviously still surf as much as I can. People can get hold of me of Instagram, Frank Solomon, Facebook, Frank Solomon. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Facebook and Twitter, it's all Frank Solomon or O's. And yeah, man, I just think people should not overthink everything and just kind of, you know, like I said, be the change.
Yeah, that's for sure, bud. Well, we have one last question, and you might have just kind of answered a little bit already, but like, what does being ridiculously human mean to you?
Ridiculously human, Well, I think on like a completely ridiculously human level, we just animals, We just want to have a good family, have somewhere to sleep that's comfortable, and have your basic needs taken care of, have food, shelter, good family, and be happy. And I think that's all you can ask for, to be ridiculously human,
Yes, bud. That's so true, man. Yes, you just put it so well, bud. Yes, it's such a good reminder, bud, that it's just you know, the small things which do actually count and that are important. And
what is that Maslow hierarchy of needs? You know,
exactly.
Once that's taken care of, the rest is just holiday, I guess.
Fluff.
It's just a bonus, isn't it? Really,
a bonus, exactly.
Yeah, bud. Cool, man. Listen, I just wanted to say, like, seriously, massive thanks for coming on the podcast. It's seriously so cool to chat to a guy like you. You know, like I honestly think, bud, you're so humble, like, and that's what's so cool. You know what I mean? Like in everything that you talk about, you're like, but I don't see myself as this, or I never did it with this intention. You're just basically a flippant good guy. You're super curious about life. You're keen to try new things, and you'll deal with things when they sort of come or happen, basically, after you kind of start doing them. And I think there's so many lessons in your story for everybody, bud. And I just had such a great time. For me, there's been a lot of things where I'm like, I could kind of chill out a little bit more when it comes to certain things, and just it's a great, your message puts things into perspective, and what you're doing, bud, though, like with everything now, with Sentinel, what you've done with the movies, with Street Surfers, like, this is super important stuff. And also the plastic and the environmental stuff, like, this is really, really cool. And I think all of us can do that little bit and make a difference in the world. So thanks so much for your time, bud. I really have enjoyed chatting with you. Thanks for coming on the podcast, like, in such short notice as well. It's great. Right. And man, keep smiling and being a legend, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, man. And just touching on that, like, surfing is like a really selfish pursuit. It's just like you going surfing, like, it's just about you, really. So this talking about the environment and how trying to help other people and stuff, I think that it has way more value, and it makes you like makes you feel a lot better than just doing something that's about you. So it is cool to if you're thinking about doing something like that, then just go out there and do it. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, exactly.
Totally, yeah. So just briefly from my side, Frank, I just can't agree more with what Gareth said. You know, the humility is insane. You've totally represented surfers around the world in a really good light as well, which is epic. And you know, it's just a true testament to how being humble and keeping things simple can still be very, very moving and very effective in the world in this day and age. You know what I mean? You've kept it simple, you've kept it real, and not overcomplicated anything. And you are, but even so, you are being the change that you want to see in the world. And that's a massive reminder for us and for everybody that we tend to get so busy in our minds and overcomplicate things and be overwhelmed, but and actually achieve very little sometimes. But sometimes taking it back to those basics. So just thanks for all the lessons in there and being a good
you guys
oak.
are killing me with
yeah,
the compliments.
We thought we were going to smother you now at the end because you're such a nice oak. But thanks again, though. Seriously, man. Cool. It was a really great chat.
Thanks, guys. That was awesome.
Oh, it's sweet, bud. Cool, man.
All
right, bud. Cool, man. So
breaking it dawn, packing the gear, September tour and up in the air. Stop at the toll, digging